I watch the top 100 highest grossing films of all time, so you don't have to. My name is Steven, and welcome to Hot Strike. This is a journey I started back in 2019 when I joined Letterboxd, a great app for people who love movies and like to keep track of what they watch and when. The second I saw these lists, I knew I wanted to complete one. It just felt like a challenge, and as someone who is an achievement hunter in video games, I couldn't help myself. So I am thrilled to announce that I finished watching the all-time top 100 films by Worldwide Gross Unadjusted for inflation. I chose the unadjusted for inflation list because the adjusted for inflation list is just a competition about being the oldest movie, and there's pretty much no change to that list over time. It just stays the same because money is not worth what it used to be. So, by the numbers, let's break down the top 100 highest grossing films of all time. Unsurprisingly, 97 of the 100 films are made in Hollywood, with the 3 exceptions being Hi Mom, Wolf Warrior 2, and The Battle of Lake Changjin that are all from the Chinese movie market. As an American who really wants to watch a wider variety of movies from across the world, I enjoy these being sprinkled in there. Hi Mom is a very touching story about a daughter who goes back in time and tries to make her mother's life better. And then Wolf Warrior 2 and The Battle of Lake Changjin are propaganda-filled action movies. We Americans just take the very obviously pro-American movies like Top Gun for granted, so seeing another country using the same type of hoorah attitude was kind of fun. And after 97% being US-produced films, 45% of the movies being Disney-owned properties is not shocking. Disney owns Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and 20th Century Fox, so you can see how quickly they own 45% of the list. Yes, some of these movies were not owned by them at the time of their release, but they now do fall under the ownership of everyone's favorite mouse. And then 21% of films are animated. Other than Disney and Pixar, Illumination, DreamWorks, and Universal round out the list with franchises like Shrek and the Minions. As someone who was a kid when Shrek came out, I am confused how Shrek made so much money. I think the movies are great, but they feel too niche to make that much money. I mean, Hoodwink, which was a favorite of mine, had a very similar vibe, yet did not create a billion-dollar franchise. I mean, most things have it. And speaking of franchises, only 4 movies out of the 100 are not truly part of a franchise. Those movies are Titanic, Bohemian Rhapsody, Inception, and Hi Mom. I did rule out all of Pixar because to me that kind of name recognition essentially functions like a franchise. People go to see Pixar films without knowing anything about them just because they know Pixar made them. And every Pixar film on the top 100 list has been turned into a franchise in some shape or form, with Zootopia being the only exception, but I still ruled it out. It's sad to see the franchises are truly king. I was hoping maybe 10% of the movies would be standalone films, but only 4 is a damn shame. However, there was still a franchise I was shocked to not see in the top 100. Be quiet, can you hear that? I think I hear someone running. Oh yes, Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible franchise. Top Gun Maverick is number 12 on the list, but the highest Mission Impossible movie only places at 103, just outside the top 100. That is Mission Impossible Fallout. As of writing this on July 17, 2023, the newest installment to the Mission franchise, Dead Reckoning Part 1, is making its rounds at the box office. So I'll be curious if Tom can repeat Top Gun Maverick's success and land a Mission Impossible movie on the top 100 list. Now, as impressive as the movies are for making this much money, money does not mean the movie is good. Sure, that may mean it's a franchise or movie that is widely appealing, and that certainly has its merits. But movies are both an art form and a business, which makes it hard to be both. Just being entertaining is extremely hard on its own, and out of this entire list, only 2 have won the Academy Award for Best Picture. They are Titanic and The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Now, what is interesting is that on the top 100 highest grossing movies adjusted for inflation list, 15 movies have won the Oscar for Best Picture. Now, does that mean movies are getting worse? No, I don't necessarily think so, but this could be a whole video topic on its own. Now, even though only 2 films have won Best Picture, my average star rating for all 100 films was 3.38. So not terrible, but not great. Very middle of the road, and that feels consistent with most big blockbuster movies these days. I gave 5 stars to Jurassic Park, The Dark Knight, Lion King, the original Lion King, and Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, I'm Lord of the Rings fanboy, and my lowest rated movie of them all was Captain Marvel with 1.5 stars, which was the only movie to dip below a 2-star rating for me. I do have to give a special nod to Jurassic Park for being the oldest film on the list, coming out in 1994, and still being very far up the list in the 33rd spot. The very last movie I watched was the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, because I had never seen any of the Twilight movies, and it felt like cheating for me to just watch that one. So, in the last week, I watched all 5 Twilight movies just to finally complete the list. If you're someone who just loves movies, I highly recommend using Letterboxd, which is not a sponsor by the way, and trying to complete a list. Although the top 100 list was mostly familiar movies, it did force me to watch some things I would never have watched otherwise. And there are other lists like the AFI 100 Years, 100 Movies, or the IMDb Top 250 will certainly make me watch way more things I would never have considered taking the time to watch before. I like having the structure for my movie watching, because sometimes I just fall into a constant rewatch cycle of my favorite movies. And yeah, I may love every rewatch, but there's a wide world of movies out there for us all to experience, and we owe it to the filmmakers to experience as much of them as we can. I think I'm going to either finish the AFI 100 Years 100 Movies list or the Best Picture Winners list next, so stay tuned for those breakdowns, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Not a lot of our viewers actually are subscribed. Thank you for watching.